Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where, some movies came out this weekend, and we're going to talk about them. But come on, all eyes are already on Avengers Infinity War, which is on the eve of a historic box office debut. So, of course, that's where today's episode will begin. And what makes things particularly exciting is that Avengers Infinity War is a genuine wild card. I looked it up. The only other franchise to boast a 10-year straight story culmination is Harry Potter. And the reason that doesn't really register with us, and that I had to look it up just to double check, I was like, did anyone else ever do this? I think it might have been Harry Potter. But still, fans already knew how that story was going to end, movie-wise. So this kind of puts us in the same area as when the final Harry Potter book came out. And as you might recall, that was a pretty frickin' big deal itself. This is very exciting. Here, though, when it comes to a movie franchise, the only thing that seems certain is that everyone is going to see it, right? At least once. And on that note, if you would like to be included in next week's Movie Math, where we'll likely be discussing the biggest opening weekend of all time, then be sure to tweet me those pictures for the Movie Math ticket montage. Will I get more pictures than ever before for a ticket montage? I'd say the odds are in Marvel's favor, although the odds are in Marvel's favor in a number of ways these days. But anyway, instructions on how to participate are down below in the video description and over on my Twitter page. Then, to recap my Avengers Infinity War box office predictions, if you'd like them in detail, I've also put a link down below in the video description to that video. As I predicted, when I made the video, it seemed that they were, like, Avengers Infinity War might have the biggest opening weekend of all time, although now it seems pretty certain. But I stand by my first predictions is for the overall box office, and that's that Avengers Infinity War will perform the level of Jurassic World. Currently, the fourth biggest film of all time. It'll either be right below Jurassic World or maybe go a little above it, but in that zone, which is very good, by the way. That's not undercutting Avengers Infinity War whatsoever. Those are realistic predictions, although in the wake of Black Panther, which we'll get to in just a moment, of course, anything could happen. And the ideal situation would be, as many have pointed out, for Avengers Infinity War to match or best Star Wars: The Force Awakens. The only film that has ever come close to challenging James Cameron's box office dominance. And it does seem that Mr. Cameron is feeling the Marvel heat. Oh boy, he really set him up for a major burn and huge embarrassment. People are just gonna, he's already getting a lot of negative comments online, but wow, is it gonna intensify if Avengers Infinity War surpasses just one of his babies at the worldwide box office. Because don't forget that domestically, and I'm sure that James Cameron is aware of this, which might have helped spark his comments over the weekend, Black Panther has already passed Titanic domestically, and so, by the way, has The Force Awakens. Disney versus James Cameron. Although, with Disney's acquisition of Fox, if that goes through, they will own him as well. Hilarious. I love it. Now, speaking of Black Panther, which had the best hold in the top 10 this weekend, by the way, it now looks like a lock that when Avengers Infinity War debuts next weekend, this coming weekend, Marvel will have two films simultaneously in the box office top 10, which will make Feige's victory even sweeter. Although, interestingly, Feige's kind of competing with himself here because Black Panther had a record-breaking, iconic run. And if Avengers Infinity War can improve on that, for lack of a better word, because we want both movies to succeed, but if it can improve on Black Panther's box office, it'll be due to the overseas box office, where again, Black Panther, I'm sorry, those of you who hate to hear this, it's the truth, it has not performed, percentage-wise as previous Marvel movies and other blockbusters have. Black Panther is a success, largely due to the domestic box office. And on that note, I don't think Avengers Infinity War will be able to surpass Black Panther domestically because it would be difficult to make any more money than Black Panther has. In fact, it would have to be Force Awakens level money. But, that could happen though. That could happen. I think it depends on just how shocking the film is. I think now we're relying on story points to push it into the stratosphere, the upper stratosphere. Okay, so back to this weekend. What happened? Well, once again, it was Krasinski versus Johnson, who shockingly continued to be evenly matched, it seems, in round 2 of their box office matchup. But while The Rock is simply holding the line, Rampage, I think, at this point can be classified as a solid, not embarrassment, rather than a genuine hit. Krasinski continues to shine. Wowza! For one glorious week at least, until the summer movie season begins, a week early, Krasinski, not so great for Krasinski or The Rock, by the way, cutting both their movies short a little bit in their runs. It'll be interesting to see how well they hold over the weekend when Avengers Infinity War comes out. Is everyone just, because if they flood the market with showtimes, there won't be any, you won't be able to counter program it, right? Because, if you want to see Avengers Infinity War, the showtime will exist, right? For those of you, if you don't have tickets for some reason, new batch of tickets should go on sale late Tuesday. That's usually when the week's tickets go on sale, and some theaters might pop up that aren't set to play it yet, or theaters that already are playing the film should add additional showtime. So be on the lookout for those additional group of tickets to go on sale. Again, late Tuesday. Start checking around, Tuesday afternoon, the ticketing sites. But anyway, for now, A Quiet Place not only has the second biggest opening of the year, but is the second biggest film domestically. Nicely done, Jim. Then, as for the weekend's new releases, both overperformed, but that's thanks to super low expectations. Yes, while critics deemed both I Feel Pretty and Super Troopers 2 as rotten, their respective audiences, while small, were pleased, giving both movies a B+. Both will probably do very well in the ancillary market. But, in theaters, it was a pleasant surprise, let's put it that way, for the industry. However, I think that while they performed on par as movies, they're coming into the weekend from very different places. For instance, Amy Schumer's brand is clearly in free fall, and one has to wonder if an entertaining, inventive comedy with an empowering message can't save it. I'm sure many of you are like, what movie are you describing, Grace? Because it can't be I Feel Pretty. Remember, people who went to see it gave it a B+. So even if it's not for you, it did, people who went to see it were pleased. So if that can't save her brand, what can? I think that any producer would probably be maybe reluctant to cast her going forward, except, if she makes her own movie. Because, I think she's a little bit toxic, right? I mean, I'm sure that the directing duo behind this film, longtime rom-com writers who really this is their best work for their directorial debut. It's got to sting a little bit that maybe they shouldn't have cast Amy Schumer, and the film maybe would have done better if they had not. Live and learn, right? It's still a good showing, and then hopefully they have another good idea somewhere in there, right? This was a good one. This was a really good high concept idea. Damn it! But then meanwhile, Super Troopers 2 was brilliantly slated to debut on 4/20, which was by far and away its best day at the box office. And overall, it impressively improved on its lackluster debut 16 years ago. Yeah, this is a great example, speaking of the ancillary market, of a brand which has grown in that area, right? And fans actually helped pay for this movie, literally, because it had a successful crowdfunding campaign. And then as for Traffic, well, let's hope the similar breaking in does better in just a few weeks' time. Paula Patton's movie career, it's not going to work out. She should focus now on landing a small screen gig. And that's nothing wrong. No shame there, Paula. Get a nice streaming gig. And, technically you are a movie actor, so they should be interested in having you. Although your box office is pretty low. All right, so anyway, as for the overall top 10, Truth or Dare suffered the biggest drop. While everything else, and don't feel bad for Lucy Hale, I mean, she still proved that she could open a movie, right? And also A Quiet Place is taking up all the horror dollars. And maybe that'll do well in the ancillary market as well. And everything else, though, held relatively steady, making the last money, soaking up the last dollars that they can until Avengers Infinity War hits. It's also interesting to note that Isle of Dogs seems to have peaked, finally suffering a drop, even if it is a small one. It went wide last weekend. Now, as for Ready Player One, while A Quiet Place might have eclipsed it domestically, worldwide it has passed 500 million, which you might recall was its break-even point. So, woo! Spielberg got that deal. As we discussed last week, he re-upped with Warner Brothers to potentially do a DC movie, Black Hawk. So he's in a good place. He can feel, he survived this round, and I would say survived because he didn't exactly knock it out of the park. He's kind of like in the same place as Dwayne Johnson. Johnson, right? His reputation is intact. He didn't embarrass himself. And he has China to thank for that, where the Spielberg nostalgia flick has racked up the most coins by far and away. So expect Daito and Shou's roles to level up in the sequel, or perhaps even for a new Asian lead to be added, right? Who would have thought? I'm sure Spielberg, I'm sorry, but is this the new Pacific Rim? And then Pacific Rim Uprising, did not do particularly well anywhere. Oh, by the way, Rampage is doing pretty darn well in China as well. China, wow, so many people there, so many tickets to sell. We'll see how Infinity War does there, because, Marvel movies do pretty good there. Better than Star Wars movies. And Disney's very invested in China. That's why they're working so hard on their Mulan movie. They have 3 theme parks in the region. So they're working hard to make inroads. But it's weird. Their biggest brands in the rest of the world don't really connect there, interestingly enough. But they have hired Dwayne Johnson for Jungle Cruise, so they're going to get that Chinese money eventually. All right, so that's this week's Movie Math. As always, thanks for going over the box office with me. Share your thoughts down below, and of course, don't forget to tweet me those Avengers Infinity War pictures for next week's ticket montage. We're going to have so much to talk about. I can't wait. And of course, also as always, you can check out some more videos right now.